Hi there, people. This is Love, and today I'm going to review a couple of fragrances I received as a sample gift set. Alright, from Max Aroma. So, um, I got, I think it's five fragrances to test out, so it's just little samples, I really like collecting samples because I just like smelling new fragrances and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty neat. I really love having more and more samples. So it's gonna be in no particular order, and there's different things in there from two brands. There's only two brands, and there's five testers there. There's five samples there, and yeah, it's pretty neat. Some of them are really interesting. I'm gonna start off with this one. It's Atlas by Tumi, which is a Canadian brand who makes like they make travel things, like bags and stuff. I think that's what they make. I've never heard of that brand before, and I'm a Canadian, so yeah. And this one was a bit like it's the first one I tested out. It's kind of a Bleu de Chanel type fragrance, perhaps a bit lighter than Bleu de Chanel. It's still very like, it's very clean and it's very nice, and it has a bubblegummy feel that kind of appearance also perhaps Invictus. Uh, it's not completely my cup of tea because I departed myself from Bleu de Chanel because I love that fragrance. It's an amazing scent, but it's just uh, I think it's a bit boring for me, like for my taste. But it's very professional. It's very nice, and a lot of people really find it sexy. So this one is like a bit of a mix over between kind of like the Bleu de Chanel classiness, because there's very classy woods in there. There's a kind of a citrusy Bleu de Chanel vibe, but it still has a bubblegummy vibe that is more like Invictus like. It's probably made to be worn all year round because there's still that bubblegummy sweetness that's attached to it. There's some coniferous trees, so perhaps pines or cedar or something like that. Maybe it's why it's called Atlas. It's perhaps because of Atlas cedar. So something like that. I'm not reading any notes there, but I think it's a bit like that kind of fragrance. So it's good for the winter, but it's also very good for the warmer months because it's so fresh and it's very nice and sweet, and people love it. I'm pretty sure that this is one is a compliment getter if you want, but it's not exactly my type. All right, so the next from that same brand, it's Continuum by Tumi. So still the Canadian brand, and this one I'm going to do a full review on because I've worn it a couple of times now since I got the sample, and it's the one I really want to wear. It's that sample that I'm like, this is so amazing. Both of the fragrances are said to have a anti-habituation technology that makes it ultra long lasting. So it's kind of like they did something so that you don't go nose blind to it, and it works. Like both for Atlas and both for Continuum. So Continuum is okay. Think of like tobacco vanille, but it's not vanille. Like it's not vanilla. It's tonka bean. So it's a bit different. It's kind of like maybe a more casual tobacco vanille. It's not as super classy as tobacco vanille. It still has some class, some presence to it. It does like project really good, and it's it's really fantastic. Like it's a tobacco scent, so there's a lot of tobacco. You get a bit of booziness, but I'm not sure if that's it, like is it like a whiskey or rum note, or is it just like the fragrance being so spicy and stuff that it just gives off some kind of booziness. It smells like it's gentlemanly, it's very powerful, but it's dark, it's like very sexy, very like arrogant maybe. I really love that fragrance. It's on my watch list. I'm checking it. It's not too expensive, so perhaps one day I'll get it. And also it's a purchase that'll be encouraged by my wife because she's completely in love with that fragrance. She's a super fan of where tobacco vanille, and this one she was like completely frenzied. She was like, "Oh, you smell good," and then coming closer and like, oh, "You smell so good," and it's just that fragrance. You know, it's amazing and it's completely different from what designer scents are aiming for. You could say like, you know, code profumo comes like, you know, those type of code profumo, code absolu, because of the tonka bean and the darkness and the spiciness, but it's not as juvenile as that. It's more grown up, but it's still like super playful and very very sexy, very like, you know, it's the person who's just like way beyond it all, you know, just very confident, perhaps a bit arrogant. That's what I'm getting from that fragrance, and it's amazing. So I recommend that. I'm gonna do a full review on that one, probably maybe today. I don't know. All right. So next one up, there's Terabla. So Terabla. Oh yes, there's the notes written just there. That's really cool. But Terabla, to me, gives off a vibe that is very close to Tom Ford for Men. It's a very classy, herbal, you know, citrus herbal kind of fragrance, which is a bit spicy, very very classy, very very gentlemanly. Uh, it's kind of like that tendency for Tom Ford to like go for things that are very, you know, gentlemanly and perhaps smell from like what you would think would be another time, but it's still very very modern. It's just that it's not a Tom Ford, but the Tom Ford for Man, that was like the vibe that I got. I was like, smells like someone very very elegant, very very classy, and this one has got like the same kind of vibe. It's a fragrance that is very pleasing. Perhaps it's not very juvenile, so it's perhaps be careful if you're like very young and trying to pull this off. You need to have the right like state of mind to do that. It's a very like calm and you know, posé fragrance. You know, you're just like analyzing it from afar. It's like a British gentleman, or you know, a character from a 40s movie that's very well like thought of and that knows everything about literature and stuff like that. That's my I'm always giving like my view of the fragrances. How would I portray a character that's wearing that fragrance? Because I really like doing that exercise, but it's just to get you. I'm smelling in that I'm smelling ginger, but there's no ginger mentioned. Uh, but it's still like it's citrusy. There's tangerine and lemon and stuff, and there's, you know, a bit of smokiness from the sage. There's super nice flowers and spices and woods and all sorts of like herbal ingredients. So it's really really nice, and it smells like very high class, high price. I don't know how much is Terabla from Masque Milano, but it really smells like a very very high end fragrance. That's what I'm thinking. Then we've got Reflection from the same brand, so Masque Milano, Reflection, and that one is it smells like it smells. I don't know how to like really put the finger on what does it smell like, but it smells a bit like very very bright, a bit fruity, perhaps a bit cloudy. You could think of like something reminiscent a bit of like people who would like Baccarat Rouge 540 probably would enjoy that scent because it's kind of a more complex, ethereal, cloudy scent. That's yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, and there's still the notes right there. So Mimosa Absolute, yeah, it's sparkling. It's there's yeah, it's aldehydic. So It's kind of a floral, but it has a bitter floral note that's like the aldehyde. If you don't know the aldehyde, I uh, I I think it's a good thing to go and smell it. It's very it like smell like the different aldehyde components like chemicals because it's chemical. Um, and yeah, there's like some spices in there here and there, but mostly you'll get like a blast of like this super nice energy. It's called reflection because it's probably like the light that comes out, you know. That's what I think it is. When I put it on, I was like, yeah, yeah, it's that kind of strange floral sensation, but also like this fruitiness and kind of sense of um, ethereality. It's transcendent. It's very nice, a very nice fragrance. I'm not sure I'm because there's the Continuum and Terabla. I would own them. Continuum, I probably will. Terabla, I'd be interested because it's kind of very interesting. This one is really, really interesting, but I'm not sure I would pull it off that much. But it's super nice. All of the fragrances are unisex, but particularly the Masque Milano, I don't think they're branded on any genre. Whereas the two Tumi fragrances are branded towards men, but the others are like very, very unisex, and the reflection is probably more even feminine, but it's like kind of just transcends the whole meaning of it. Just it's just very different and very nice. But I had pleasure like wearing it. I'm not sure I would like want to wear it that so often, but it's really nice. All right, so the next and the last one is Sleight of Fern by Masque Milano 2 is so it's another Masque Milano sample. Yeah, with the notes written, it's really like it's often the case, but I never really read them. And this one I'm trying it on right now. So and it's very like it's interesting. The first like the first whiff I got out of it when I sprayed it on, I was like, this smells like Tiger Balm. And for those who know what is Tiger Balm, you're probably thinking it's not like like it's not a bad thing, but it's not really a good thing either. So Tiger Balm is like kind of a Vicks Vapor Rub, but more ancient, and it's really efficient. I find it more efficient than the Vicks anyway. Um, so it had that like very herbal medicinal kind of vibe with a kind of yeah, it's herbal medicinal, although a bit metallic. Yeah, a bit metallic. That's what I would call it. A bit metallic, and it's it still has that, you know, Vicks Vapor Rub, mostly Tiger Balm kind of vibe. I think it's probably the herbs put into it that's reminiscent of what Tiger Balm is. So it's kind of a soothing scent, although it's very, very complex. So it's very, very complex, but it's still a bit soothing. I smell a bit of the narcissus flower, which is a flower that smells a bit dry. You know, it's a pretty dry scent too. Not sure I would wear it a lot, and I already got like Tiger Balm has a solid projection, so you can you know rub it a bit, and your muscles will be less sore, and you'll be smelling a bit like this, but it's not exactly the same. You know, it's more pleasant uh, than just putting on some Tiger Balm, but still pretty. I don't know. It's very medicinal. I'm not all for things that are super medicinal in general, so that would be a pass for me too. But they're very interesting scents. I really like to explore those scents that I'm not used to, also. So that's pretty much it. I hope you had a fun video, and I'm probably gonna review them a bit more deeply. Now I've just like got some I've just worn once or twice, So I'm gonna do some better videos when I just have a better idea of what's going on with these fragrances, and that's pretty much it for today. Stay tuned and spread love. Spray love.